So automatically, the box they ticked black male suspect became no, he's foreign, he's Italian, he's not from the Paris, no more target. And then I discovered how things are different from country to country. So I asked a friend of mine who is studying sociology in one of the biggest universities in Paris. And I was told that, yeah, French police were actually the colonial police. So they were trained to beat up people that look like you. And then they lost a lot of their colonies and they were sent back. So this thing is rooted inside them. And this is what they do. So yeah, the places where I discovered that I was a black male threat and police will come after you and blah, 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 were France and the US. In Italy, this wasn't happening until, let's say, 5-10 years ago, that you are out and just you're afraid of police. But in a way, it doesn't happen because you see videos of people fighting with police, which will never happen in France. They will just go straight on you in the hardest way possible. But of course, it's becoming also a problem here in big cities. And on the other side, like tension is rising on both sides. So I see more and more that black kids, people diverse, as soon as they see police, they have a different attitude compared to what me and other people like me were used to have. No more jokes. These people are coming after me because of this. And I don't think it's the way to go for this country. It can be a big problem. Because Italy is not used to deal and solve things of this kind from the central government. Everything is a little bit decentralized. So local governments are mostly, we don't have like a national integration plan for people coming in, because it would be impossible. It always work with. Like I was talking to a friend and he told me, yeah, probably this is the positive thing, not having a national thing, because it's like even for normal, for policies concerning, I don't know, even driving is different from Rome to the northern side. So nothing is national in this place. So it will be impossible, and it will, in a way, ruin also things that from the bottom-up perspective, people to help out and integrate people. But of course, there are things, when we talk about racism, we are still talking about racism, this big thing. As I usually say, okay, racism, but break it down. Go into it and try to understand what happens in Italy that makes it different from what happens in other countries, and which kind of solutions need to be taken here on the peculiarities and the differences of this country. And this brings us to, of course, what I'm doing with my association. So a week ago, me and Benedicta met and we were talking about all these things. And at a certain point, she described what is studying here. And I said, great, Benedicta, you just described why my association exists. So it means that this thing we all face it. But as I was saying, from the central government, no action is taken. And this is also because it's like we live in two different worlds, you know, those of foreign origin and those that are, let's say, how can we call Italians?
Yeah, but
Italians want
Italo-Italian, Italo 1.0, white Italian, like the different countries go by.
I cannot say white Italians. Like I have a friend from Sicily, he's almost dark as me. Like
I don't know, well, because the vision is wide and we can go into like, like.
you know, this is actually one of the things that makes me laugh. Italians are not the same even like in their appearance from the northern side to the southern side. Like if you go into the deep south, my friend is from Sicily, and every year he says, "Oh, I will be tan as you," and he gets close. Like he always bet. He still think he can make it. But on the other side, we have another friend that has his mom is from Trentino and Plato, so even yeah, like close to Germany, and he's super paid. So, like, how on earth can you say, "Oh, those people are different"? Like, you people are not the same. Like, anyways, so one of the hard things for people coming from diverse background is education. This because the Italian education system has different specificities compared to other European systems. So maybe this you will actually like it because in junior high and senior high, you go to school half of the time. So it's from 8 in the morning to 1, and then you're free to go. This might seem nice, of course, you have all the afternoon to mess around with your friends, you know, have a good time. We grew up with this Japanese anime, which starts at 2. So everyone will run home. It's Dragon Ball. Like 2 p.m., everyone is there. So yeah, you go to school half of the time, which might look nice. On the other side, yeah, this is also built on one of, I would say, to understand race and identity in Italy, you first have to analyze the country without us, and then add us on top. So going into Italian history, before we came here, for our parents, who decided to move us on. I was schooling now. No, it was better.
I don't know, they could see me here, so I don't know.
You are one of the lucky ones. So, education. In Italy, we have 2 different words for what in English-speaking countries is education. So, formal education, the school system, is istruzione. So, our Ministry of Education is Ministero dell'Istruzione, which is formal education given for an institution. Then you have educazione, which is the informal side, so manners, how to be with people and all this kind of thing. I know that in the US, you can even elect cooking classes. This is not possible in Italy, because how can you tell your grandma that someone is teaching you how to cook? No. So, jokes aside, the only time where these 2 things were done by the same institution, which is the state, was during fascism. Because fascism was the only period where they wanted to create the Italians, all the same from north to south. After fascism, they decided that never again we will go under this kind of regime and this. So they split the two. So istruzione is given by the state, and educazione, so which entails who you are, your manners, your beliefs, is given by your parents, your family, and your inner circle. So of course this impacts also the side of istruzione, in the sense that from your elementary school, you have to decide for your junior high, this happened to me, whether you want to stay to school 2 or 3 afternoons to take some extra courses, or just one. Whether stupid thing you want to eat in the school canteen or go home because you prepare your mom's school. Or you want to learn only English or English and French. Your parents decide on this. And of course, not all parents have the knowledge of understanding what's important, which courses are important, and going to school half of the time. I forgot to say this. It's really nice to go to school half of the time, but you have to study a lot at home. Like we have double of the homeworks and coursework compared like in high school. For a month I went to live in a French family, and this girl told me, oh yeah, we are in the exam. We literally went out every afternoon.
Wow.
And I was exam week. Okay. Anyways, so of course, if you are of foreign origin, your parents are not that skilled in the language to understand. They don't know the school system. You pick, let's say, not the best street. So in Italy, we have in high school, we have 3 different kinds of schools. So we have what we call liceo, which is what prepares you to university. You study a lot. You study, let's say, even unnecessary things.
That's true.
But anyway, you study Greek. Okay, Latin is somewhere important. But yeah. Then you have professional schools, which are in a way ranked as the lower tier because you learn hands-on. It's not vocational school, but close, because those are vocational schools. And then you have commercial schools, so economics and whatever. But the workload is different. So one prepares you really well to get into uni, the others not that well. Of course, decisions are taken from the knowledge of your parents. So if your parents are of foreign origins, they don't know the system and blah, 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 they can't follow you with your homework, which are the most important part for an Italian teacher, because they work 2 jobs. They work in different angles of the city, so they come home really late. And of course, you are 16, no one is forcing you to study. You watch Dragon Ball and then you go out with your friends. And then you go to school and you haven't finished your homework and you haven't studied a lot. Of course, you add this to the ignorance of your teacher, thinking that African people, mostly black people, are not that skilled. They are made to do hand jobs. Manual job. I translated it from Italian. Apologies. Manual jobs. So they just push you to go to vocational school. So what I discovered in this, not analysis, but what I went through. So I was the only Black person in Israel because I decided to go to Israel, where all Black people were. And I was, okay, why am I the only one here? Like I know other Black kids of my age, where are all of them? And they're all packed in the same school. And then I said, okay, maybe in uni something will change. I got to uni and there were other Black people, but they came, I used to say Black, but this works also for people from Latin America, from Eastern Europe, Asia, of course. Okay, sure. We'll close on this. And I said, oh, okay. I went there and there were other Black people, but there were people that came directly from Africa to study in universities. So I was, how is it possible that someone that doesn't know the language, doesn't know the country, made it to university? And those that were born here didn't make it to university. Well, and I started, asking around to friends and also Google helped a lot. So I Googled foreigners not in school. I started Googling and I discovered the magic word of early school leavers. Then I discovered that our Ministry of Education actually does a report yearly on early school leavers of foreign origin in Italy. And this report was super specific, that it would say that in this town, 20 Indian boys or girls didn't finish high school. So they had all the data, everything they needed, but no action was taken from their side. And this is because they don't know that the mom of these kids works 2 jobs, can help them, all the other side that will help out. So I started going to this report yearly, started asking out teachers and questioning them on this. By the way, this wasn't the focus of my education. It was something I was doing aside. So it took me 6 years to go into this. Then I started moving abroad for studies. I started asking also there to people from minority communities and also formal education. So do you have this kind of problems? And they told me, yes, we have this kind of problem, slightly different. And how are you working on this? Which kind of programs are you implementing? So I discovered this thing, which is mentoring, coaching. And here I have to thank the US because the US is super quantitative. At the very beginning, I was doing everything in the Italian way of, okay, let's help people, save them, and all this approach that we used to have in Italy for public policy. And then I went to the US university. I was doing this research project in Boston. And once that I attended a course at the Harvard School of Education. And there was this teacher from Southern State that came to talk about this mentoring project they did there. And it was, I thought, School of Education, social scientists would be there talking about how they helped these kids and blah, blah, blah. And it was all numbers, charts, and data, saying, oh, we helped out, like we had our education levels growing of 120%. We had our tax revenues going up of this amount because kids find better jobs and blah, 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 and all this kind of thing. And I said, okay, this can be the solution. So I came here and with other folks from minorities that face the same issues and are facing this kind of issue because now they are in the workforce and they are always the only diverse person in the room. We thought of starting this program. We contacted 2 companies, and what is really hilarious is that the Italian bank that we started working with, they were forced to do this because they were actually acquired by a French bank. So when I was in France, I met someone from the French bank, and I was, oh, we want to do this program. They said, oh yeah, we do this here. So they contacted the Italian guy saying, you have to do this. And then they started doing it. So we started with this bank and this international law firm. And we just had people from lawyers and stuff talking about their job, how they got there, answering about how diversity can help out. And it was hilarious because these people were not diverse. So of course they don't know, but they tried. And they did this to a class like you. So people studying law, which is one of the most elite jobs and spheres in Italy, because it depends a lot on knowing how to get there. So in Italy, we have more lawyers in Milan than the entire France, but they are mostly son of lawyers. So it's hard for Italians not having lawyers in their family, people that are the first graduates in their family, because one of the biggest problems in this country is the information asymmetry. So opportunities are there, but no one knows about it. This because it's, you have been walking around, well, it's a mess, everything is. Anyways, so just providing these kids the information, they were able to take the best choices for their life, their studies, their professional career. And I think it's really important to change the image of this country. Like if you turn on the Italian television, you will see always the same kind of people there. And most of the time, we on the other side, not knowing the country and how it works and all the internal things, we say, oh yes, they are racist. So what I usually hear from friends that from Italy they decide to move abroad to the UK. It's, have you ever seen a Muslim woman with a vein driving a bus in Italy? No, in London this happens, and they think, yeah, they have more opportunity there, which is somewhat true. But the other side is, to get that job, you need to know the information on how to get it. The license to drive the bus, and this and this and that, which are all information that we usually don't have. But we works also for an Italian that doesn't have someone driving the bus in his family. This is unfortunately how things work here. So we decided to work on this information thing, and also knowing coaching and empowerment with all of this. So it's a program that it's in its 3rd year. We started with 2 corporate partners. Now we are like 15. We have the legal side that it's self-standing, it's working, and we are trying now to establish something in the tech industry concerning business development and policy. This is because we think tech is really important, and having unbiased tech is key. There was a major scandal in the Netherlands. They discovered that they had an algorithm that was built, having, of course, the bias of those working in the ministry, so white Dutch people, that assume that families from minorities were taking out money that they weren't assigned. And this destroyed families because they had to repay the state. And after 10 years, they discovered that it was a biased algorithm that did this. But of course, the life of those kids, those families are going well. So I really do think that tech will be the next thing that will decide on a just world with less racism, gender bias. We see it in the elections, how by just pouring in fake news, you can change people's views. So I went too much, but
Thank you so much. Anybody that has to 801, so please, if you want to go, please. Let's go, what is that? Well, I don't know which of the question to start. So, do you have any questions for Gordon? Let's start.
Are there spaces for people who maybe have parents or immigrants or just like, I guess diversity? Are there spaces where people congregate or where they can develop those spaces?
this is what we want to do. So this is one of the things I think from the policy perspective, we have to reach out to the state, for them to provide spaces. These things are done. It's really hilarious in a way. This country it's pretty strange. So in some places they have this we call them after school, where kids can go and they'll help out with their homework. And the number of kids that usually attend this after schools, which are like in the northern side mostly run by the Catholic Church, so they just out of generosity establish this kind of thing. The highest number of people going there are Muslim kids. So it's in a way it makes you think where the state is missing, in terms of providing, in terms of spending, because policy is spending. But yeah, this is one of the things we want to do, and so in my normal life I do some, let's say, corporate boring stuff. I hope my boss is not listening to it, but anyway. But what I would like to do is, using creativity and social impact approach to deal with social problems. So what it came to my mind, we were talking about this with I said, we have a lot of, so Italy has, the Catholic state is here, so I wouldn't say everyone is Catholic, at least Italian, because things are changing in terms of faith. But then you have the Black churches. And what I was saying is, like, we in our own community, we have to start looking about not the word racism and going out to the state saying, hey, deal with racism, solve this thing. But to break it down, know where and what we are missing in our communities. And start trying to find our solutions, establish them, and go to the state saying, hey, this is the solution. Politicians usually are really happy if you go there with the solution and you say, hey, you just have to do this. So as stakeholders, it's also our homework to have this done because they don't know communities know it. So it's up to us. And what is our downside in terms of facing racism is we always go to the state, the white person say, hey, you have to solve racism, and they don't know where to start. And they will say, oh, it's okay, you're like, no, it's not the US. So what I thought it was, okay, black churches, they are there. They can just, establish this kind of after school and help the kids. And what the joke I was telling to Benedicta is, the pastor can start giving out his Wi-Fi code because they keep it secret. It can be helpful for these kids to work on this. Like, it's a joke, but with COVID, we discovered one of the biggest problems. Minority groups live in underserved areas where bandwidth is a problem. When they had online classes, they don't have enough devices. They live in small houses, so if they are free, I would say like me and my siblings were quite lucky that we were in this mess of COVID as high school or junior high students, because it would be a nightmare. We are afraid, like everyone doing classes online would be crazy. And these are where there is no direct racism from someone, but are the problems of minority groups that are not linked directly to their race, their skin color, but to their social condition. And this is where our activism has to be 2.0 and start addressing this. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else?
I mean, what does your work look like these days?
My work.
Yeah, like from a diversity, for example, like I'm interning at Mercedes and I'm the darkest one there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, how's it looking at work?
Okay, so at my work, I can tell a lot of funny stories. So
Okay, let me turn off the recording just because.
so it's not recorded.
Yeah, part of it, but it's gonna be in chat. It's gonna be in chat.
Hey, hello, ma'am.